Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by, and welcome back to Marvel Maddness. So, in my previous video, I stated that 2003 is the year people felt that comic book based superhero movies were on the decline. And yeah, I kind of disagree. Granted, they did not have the same resounding success that they had between 1988 and 2002. However, I can't say that there was a decline. Things just became a bit of a mixed bag, Between that time period, we had X3 and Spider-Man 2, both getting basically critical and fan acclaim. However, the other movies that came out between that time period did not receive such a warm reception. If you want my take on both of those, either go to my For the Defense playlist for my first two movies, or you can just go to the link below and I'll basically attach those reviews right there. However, with that being said, there is one movie that came out in 2004 that still to this day kind of perplexes me as why it's getting such negative fanfare. And that is The Punisher. So the 2004 Punisher movie, basically is about Frank Castle, who is an undercover FBI agent who actually just finished his very last job and is on his way to retirement. That very last job, however, resulted in the death of Bobby Saint, whom is the son of Tampa crime boss Howard Saint. And due to the loss of his son, basically, Howard Saint vows a vengeful vendetta against Castle, whom is actually basically in the Florida Keys, Puerto Rico at the moment, about to take his direct family to England. With Howard Saint finding out where the Castles are, basically Saint actually annihilates all Frank Castle's family and left Frank for dead himself. However, Frank is not dead, and he has decided to wage a one-man war against all of Howard Saint's criminal organization. So, yeah, this particular movie, a lot of people don't like, and it has a bad reputation, and yeah, I don't get why it has such a bad reputation. This is a damn good, entertaining movie, Now, we don't go to action or comic book-based movies for basically the most intellectual, stimulating, basically thought-provoking things. And The Punisher actually pretty much gives us a lot of what we want from a movie, And as well as an adaptation, this actually, adopts the character and the world pretty well. Now, let's start off with Thomas Jane as Frank Castle, whom, in my mind, was pretty much the best Punisher we got up until recently, which I'll go more into detail with later on in the summer. But Thomas Jane, he had the presence, well, not the physical presence, more of the dramatic presence of Frank Castle. This was a man that he didn't just witness his direct family being massacred. Oh no, he saw his whole family, his wife, his son, his father, his mother, his cousins, his aunts and uncles. They were all freaking massacred. And yeah, I'd be pretty pissed too if basically after a huge high profile massacre like that, both the FBI nor the police officers whom you have worked with for a very long time has not done a damn thing. Yeah, I'd be pretty pissed too, And to top it off, basically, we get a decent range of emotion from Frank. We see him being basically the happy guy that's about to enjoy the rest of his life to having everything wiped out. And to top it off, we see him basically brooding, drinking a lot, and we also see a great realistic body transformation from the guy, because the guy went from being in decent shape to losing a lot of his muscle mass to gaining some muscle, but also gaining a lot of fat from basically, you know, an unhealthy diet and drinking way too much. Sounds a little familiar. But I gotta give Frank this. He has great taste in alcohol. He keeps it American by drinking MGD, and he also keeps it American by drinking Wild Turkey. I approve. In addition, you know, we also had a great villain within Howard Saint, played by John Travolta. John Travolta can actually, he can ham it up when he wants to. Here, no, he didn't ham it up. He was equally as intimidating and as dangerous. In addition, both Howard and Castle, they were both meticulous in their planning. You saw how basically they were patient with their planning and how they basically make sure things were executed. Frank more so because basically you saw how he mapped out his plan and how he actually took time to actually basically, instead of going guns blazing to kill everyone off, he actually took the time period to plan things out and have basically Howard's organization basically implode on itself. Something that you really see in the comics a lot. And speaking of scenes that you see in the comics a lot, you actually got also from the original Punisher movie that came out in the 80s, you got basically a sense of basically the religious faith of the Castle family. Something that I have not seen been touched upon as of late, which is basically pretty perplexing because people forget that Frank Castle was a man of faith. You know, heck, he was actually about to become a priest. No, not a priest, a pastor for his church. So, yeah, I don't know why they disregarded this. And this was a huge thing with Frank actually basically breaking him, because all this time that he went serving his country, doing the right thing, and his religious faith, with everything that happened to him, he lost it. So, you know, I really appreciate them displaying this. Also, I also like the duality of both. You know, Frank loses his family, Howard loses his son, and this displayed how basically both hero and villain were pretty much on similar sides of the coin. And to top it off, we got a lot of decent symbolism over here, or foreshadowing. You know, we got the importance of the skull that the Punisher utilizes, you know, basically, and I really liked that take a lot. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, it shows the skull has more importance than something looking cool. In addition, you know, the gunplay scenes in this, oh my god, like, you know, when there are gunfights, the gunfights are pretty freaking awesome. And to top it off, you know, we also have basically some great hench people as well too. So the problem is with this movie, you know, as much as I like this movie, there are some flaws, both from an adaptation perspective and from a critique perspective. From a critique perspective, while this is a R-rated movie, it felt a little too clean. You know, some of the death and the killing sequences, you know, basically, we should have seen a little more blood splatter, and the massacre scene, while freaking kind of intense, you know, you would expect to see blood flailing all over the place. And yeah, that's kind of unrealistic. And to top it off, basically, this is taking place in Florida. It's very warm. So why is this dude wearing not only all black, but he's wearing a long black trench coat? Kind of doesn't mesh, really, you know. And, you know, the supporting protagonist characters, yeah, they're pretty much lame. As for a comic book adaptation, making Frank an FBI agent, doesn't really pan very well. And having this take place in Florida as opposed to the East Coast or somewhere colder, it really kind of takes things back a little. It's like, huh, you know, for something that's a little grim and depressing, this setting is a little too sunny and cheerful. So I could be a bit taken aback a little bit. Overall, though, you know, we actually have great cast, you know, heck, I'm not going to complain that I have basically Rebecca Romaine and Samantha Maddness in this, you know, hey. And as well as Roy Scheider to top it off. Great support, decent supporting cast. And as well, we got Thomas Jane, who was awesome, and as well as John Travolta. Decent, good performances for a comic book-based movie, I must say, mind you. You know, decent action sequences, and we also have basically a great time, actually. Things move, they're not so slow, but they move a little bit faster, you know. However, you know, I still have to give this a cool rating, though it's a high cool. It was borderline slamming, you know, but the complaints that I stated earlier, that's the reason why I could only give this a cool. Oh, and one other reason why I have to give this a cool, the hand-to-hand fight sequences, yeah, they're lacking. But, yeah, this is why I say Punisher 2014 is cool. Agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below, give me a like, follow me on Facebook at Token Dave or on Twitter at TokenDave80, subscribe, ring that bell so you know new video loads, and spread this video out. But until then, this has been Token Dave, dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. I'll catch all of you later.